Hello and welcome to today's lesson. We are on lesson number 5 of Doodle with Della. Welcome along. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes just to let people arrive so we're all ready to doodle together. But yes, I am here. Hello. Let me just check the hi Jackie. Check the focus is okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to find the video on my phone as well so that I can see your comments at the same time. So bear with me, there's always a bit of a delay in getting the, the Facebook page update. So yes, if you've got any comments during today's lesson, you can type them into the comments and I'll be able to see them. I'll check them. Normally they pop up when I notice, but if not, I'll check them periodically and answer your questions if you've got any ones. And then if you're, so yeah, certainly if you want to doodle along with us, which is encouraged, you just need some plain paper. I've got some here, and then a black pen. I've got these Unipin fine liner pens, which are my favourite. But any pen will do. Black is ideal, but you can practice these with a blue biro or a pencil. It's no problem. So yeah, do let me know that you're there. Give us a wave in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. That'd be fab. So along with this lesson, there's the worksheet grid 5, which has been available on my website since Monday. And oh, hi Helen, I can see you popped up. Wonderful. I know some of you have downloaded and completed your grid. Thank you very much. We'll have a look at your doodles later on. So today what I'm going to be doing is teaching you how to doodle these 4 doodles. So what I've classed this lesson as is complex doodles number 1, and next week will be complex doodles number 2. So basically what I wanted to do is actually spend a bit more time explaining how to do these doodles this week, and then next week as well there's some more complex ones, so that the and then the last 2 weeks we'll look at some more techniques with shading and using some pencil work as well, and how to present your finished pieces. I'm glad I got some water. I've got a frog in my throat. But yes, welcome along. So yes, this is going to be an 8-week course. So in 3 weeks' time, will be lesson 8, which will be our graduation day, which I'm quite excited about. So yes, do join us if you're free over the next few Saturdays. Do join us each time. You don't need to go back to do lesson 1 if this is your first time you've found me. So yeah, you can start whenever, and then if you want to go back and do the older lessons, you can do. They're all available on my website. The worksheets, the links to the videos to rewatch them, and plus there's also lesson notes on lessons 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. I'm still working on writing up lesson 4. But yeah, if you'd rather just read the summary, you can do. I'm watching the whole video back. Excellent. Well, let me just check I've got the comments screen on there. Hello. So this is Jackie, Helen and Sarah. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for sending me your worksheets so far. So I will just give you a quick recap on these. So the 4 doodles this week are, I always think of a name. It always seems to become a surprise to me when I sit down to do this. I'm like, I need a name for them. So I think this one will be Ripples. That's with an R, Ripples. Which reminds me of my, I think it was A-level, I can't remember if it's A-level or GCSE. My art project was all around water, and the movement of water. And I think, was it Helen, would you manage to capture a slow motion drip as part of your homeschooling? But yeah, that would have been, I mean, I was doing it back in the days before slow motion camera technology on your phone, or phones even. So I was trying to sort of see that and draw that image back then. But yeah, some of my artwork resembled this. I remember fun afternoons of drawing lots and lots of water pictures. Excellent. So we'll start with this one. So I think the trick for this one is not to care too much about the circles, because when you start off and you think, right, you gotta draw a small circle and then a perfect circle around the outside and then another one around, and it gets bigger, and as it gets bigger it gets more difficult to keep it smooth and to keep that join nice, which is a lot of pressure. But you've got to remember that once the whole thing's covered, you don't notice those the bits that aren't quite right. So you'll be quite, I mean, if you do some practices on another sheet of paper, you can, but yeah, I would say keep going as far as you feel comfortable. As it gets bigger, it does get more difficult to catch. But if your circles don't join up, don't worry. If they're more spread out, if the rings are more spread out, don't worry. If they're not really circle, if they're ovals, don't worry. So it's keep building up on that. So in the area you've got to fill, I would start with a few circles. Just spread them out. I'd say actually drawing a circle is very difficult. My sister was a maths teacher, and I remember when she's quite a bit older than me, so I was just a child when she was teaching, and living at home still, and she was one of the, if she'd run out of time in the end of the class, or run out of lessons, sorry, at the end of the class, too much time, that was one of the little projects she had set the class, as a challenge to draw the perfect circle. A pretty impossible task, but whether people try and do it larger or smaller, or try and do it really small, so yeah, it would competitive nature. Also let her go around the class and point out where things weren't correct, which I bet she loved. So okay, so once you've started filling up the area, then we can start looking at adding ones in to overlap. And just fill in the spaces. So again, you see the messy bits are just getting lost. I quite liked on this one is bringing in some little ones, just 2 or 3 rings. They don't all have to be big. There's a big space here. Let's do a larger one. Okay, so I hope you can see that studying the individual ones, they are quite messy, but once you put them, the whole effect. So I'm just looking for areas that look a bit sparse. There we go. Keep adding. Yeah, it's good fun, that one. I think I'll add that on to Hope later. Excellent. So the next one we're going to look at is this one, which if you can think of a name for, that'll be fab. Kind of looks like Egyptian-y architecture to me. Let's have it. So this one starts as a grid. I've got that in the right place, you can see. So I know I talked about this in past weeks, is to have the paper at a comfortable angle. So don't try and manoeuvre yourself to get a straight line. Make sure you've got it in a comfortable position, and then you can draw sort of quick, confident lines to make your grid. So you do all the lines in one direction first, and then you can rotate your paper and do the same the other way, and then just trying to judge that they're kind of squares, but don't have to be too accurate. Okay, so then within each one of these squares, what we're going to draw is the spiral. Okay, so straight lines, so you just got to keep going in. So depending on how big you've drawn this, will decide how many rotations you can do within. And now what I've done, I remember, I tried to mix up where the spiral started. So you might want to try this doodle by keeping them all the same way and see what that looks like. But if you can spot on here, they're starting in different places. So your choices are, I'll draw it large here. So it could either start from here, from here, from here, actually from there. You can even start from this side, can't it, and go around, rotate the other way. So I'm going to do this all the same way and see if that visually has any impact. Start in the corner, and basically what you're doing is you're following, so you're keeping the gap the same. So you keep going till you get to that corner, then you turn into that corner, and then you just always avoid the line around the outside. It takes a little bit more concentration, this one, I'd say. In terms of it's not that mindless. Just having some tea and taking a quick break. But yeah, so yeah, you need to focus to make sure you're not hitting the outside lines. But it's interesting to see. I mean, obviously my squares have changed, but the actual spiral looks quite different when the shape is getting more oblong. So if you are doodling along with me during the lesson, unfortunately during the lesson you can't add your photos to the comments, but once I finish the live video and post it, you will be able to add your pictures of what you've been doodling. And if you want to go and download the worksheet, you can do. I'll add the link in, and there is a completed grids post on my page, but if you can't find it, just add it onto this, and I will add it to the gallery, which is looking fabulous, on my website. It's lovely to see everyone's work. Excellent. I'll just do one more row. Oh, these get quite large. Excellent. Contrast changes. Wonderful. So I think it does have an effect having it all the same way. I'd love to know your thoughts. You see side by side there. Move it on so you can see. Yeah, that kind of flows better, I think, with a random positioning. That one can start getting a bit like you can see the gaps, the lines down. It's nice having it broken up always. Kind of like robot cinnamon buns, but maybe we can think of a better title for that one. Excellent. Right, so the next one we're going to look at is the one I love. I call it Dots and S's. I say it feels like I have ownership of it because I say I love it so much, but this isn't by any means like my doodle. I don't think there's any way to claim a doodle. But yes, I learned how to do this many years ago. I was shown how to create it, I think, or I found it online, a tutorial. But yeah, it's one of my go-tos, and it's great when you're showing someone how to, like this, showing someone how to create a doodle, because it's very simple steps, but the effect is so striking. It kind of surprises yourself every time. So it starts off as a grid of dots. So you can draw one line. So this always reminds me of the game Squares, where you draw the line, where you take it in turns to draw one line in different colours, and then when you complete a square, you put your initial in it to claim it, and whoever gets the most squares at the end wins. Actually, I should really play that with my boys during this homeschooling, my homeschooling is mainly based on games and crafts, but we're learning through play. So over grid, you can keep these quite small. They're probably going to get bigger as we complete the doodle. We kind of make the dots bigger, so don't worry if they start off smaller than what they look like on the page. So drawing your grid of squares. I'm keeping it quite rigid, although I have gone slope there, but it doesn't actually matter because when you join them in the grid pattern, but it can shift and move. It's actually quite a nice effect if they're not regimented. I'm going to try and show you on here. This is Hope, who I was going to introduce you to later. She's here already. So this one, you can see on the page. So this one I doodled last week. I fanned out the dots so that it flowed around the shape. So you've lost the regimented squares, but you can still make a beautiful doodle even if it's at different positions. So once you've got the grid, so between each, so I call it dots and S's. So here come the S's. So this is the idea, is that you're joining two dots together, and you're joining them like an S. So you've got your S shape. So the curl of the top of the S is around one dot, and the curl and the bottom one is around the other one. But we're going to do it without that spaces in between. So you start the S from the top dot, come round and loop round. So you loop round, and if you haven't quite hit the dot, then you can make the dot a bit bigger so that you do hit it. And you do that for every pair of dots going across. Okay, that's the first line, and then do the same on the second line. didn't quite have the curl to it, but it won't matter, I'm sure. Okay, so once you've done all the drawings in that direction, you then rotate the paper around, and it's the same shape. So from this dot to this dot, it's the same S shape. So you only have to remember 2 steps to this doodle. And then, as if by magic, these beautiful sort of scroll shapes appear. Okay, and then again, so if you're, as you go, you can just make the circles bigger, or the dots bigger. You've got that coming round. Now that makes a nice sort of neat grid, but generally speaking you'll be doodling within a shape like we talked about last week. So you then want, the next step is to then carry on extending those lines out. So imagine that you'd be joining it to a dot that you can't see, and keep the same motion from it. Yeah, beautiful. Have some of my tea because I'm getting cold. Yeah, so the final doodle we'll be looking at is this one. Again, I have no name, so any suggestions would be fab. Excellent. Right, that's got the comments up there. So this one also starts with a grid system. So we'll draw out, same as last time, we'll draw out the grid in nice confident strokes. Actually, I think I want to make this one a little bit larger because it gets a bit tricky to fit in the line. So yes, it needs to be, I'm going to start that again, and make sure they're quite well spaced for this one. Saying that, I'll probably regret that when I come to colouring in the square. But I'll do a few to show you. I get the angle, so I have to do it out of shot. I've got the iPad filming on a frame above my desk, but it does limit the space I have to work in. So there we go. Right, so that's the squares. Sorry to do it off camera. And so in each of these squares, so I've done it straight on, but obviously this doodle's on a diagonal, so obviously you can choose to how you present it. So yeah, so within each square you draw another square in the bottom left corner. And you're kind of looking for this square to be like halfway on each side, so it'll be like a quarter of the big square. So I'm going to draw in where these are, and then I'm going to colour in with a thicker pen. I'll only colour in a few. But you can take your time and colour them all in. So I think what really works well with this doodle is keeping all so where we're colouring in this side, this square, you're going to make sure that you don't go over the bottom, the left or the bottom line, because you want to keep that edge a crisp, clear white edge, and that gives that kind of effect of layering. So if you're going to go over the lines, go over that way. That's your freedom. You've got freedom to make the square as big as you want it to be, but try not to go to upset these lines. Okay, I'll do one more. So I switched pen then to a thicker value. So you can buy these pens in sets of like 5 or 8 different thicknesses. So this has gone up to 0.8. Just makes the colouring in large areas a little bit quicker. I'm going to go back to a thinner one. And if you have done this on quite a small scale, then again potentially we'd move down into a thinner one for this step. So the next one is to draw, so it's quite similar to this one in terms of like you want to keep an equal spacing, so you want to draw a line around the square and you want to be able to fit in 2. So if you've done it before, you might be able to fit in 1, or you might fit in 3 lines, but you want to squeeze in 2. Okay, let's do some. I'd recommend colouring in the squares first because it gets a bit confusing if you haven't got those squares to show you which bit needs filling in. So there we have it. That's that one. Excellent. So they're the 4 doodles today. So the grid number 5, so the actual challenge on the worksheet, now that you know how to do these doodles, is to combine the 2 doodles, one on the side and one on the top, and in the square, to create a new doodle which incorporates elements of this one and elements of this one. So to make a new doodle, and repeat that for all 4 squares, and there's no wrong answers, no right answers. I'm not going to be giving the solutions at any point. It's just open to your interpretation, and it's really interesting to see how different people interpret different parts of the doodles, and yeah, it's beautiful to see the results and lots of new ideas coming, which is fun. So if you've been doodling for a while, then you do get into a habit of using like a set 10 to 20 doodles that you kind of go, yeah, I know these ones, and yeah, and it's nice to have something new to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some of these doodles on Hope. So Hope is this artwork that I am creating. So alongside this Yes, she's now got to see if I've got it in the right position. Alongside the course, I'm also creating Hope. So it's 12 by 12 inches, and it's the largest sort of doodling artwork I've attempted. I'm going to say completed because I'm going to complete it. So yeah, so in each, so if you can see her face here in pencil, I am going to draw over her features in pen. I'm quite nervous about that bit, so I will do that soon. And then this is all her hair, so it's all sort of waves and locks and curls on here. So and then each intersection, so wherever the pencil line overlaps, creates different sections. And I'm adding a new doodle to each one of these. And on here, so I'm going to add a couple of doodles here today with you, and then what I do is I set this all up again. Actually, don't set up again. I keep it set up over the weekend, and then I'll jump in here and do a time-lapse video of more doodling, and then I'm stitching those all together so that actually this hopefully this artwork will have from start to finish a video of how it was created. So yes, if you want to, I'll add the video. I didn't actually add the video from last week up. So yes, I will do that today, and you can see how it's progressing. So let's have a look. Where should we add? Let's add. I'm gonna come down here. Gonna do some boring bits on the edges. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the cinnamon, was it the robot cinnamon rolls? I really don't want that name to stick. So let me just draw the grid onto here. I've just gone onto that board there. Come onto here so I don't go over the edge. Can you see that? Wait for it to focus. Okay, so that's my square grids, and I'm going to go, because it's quite small, I do have a habit of making things smaller. Painfully intricate is what my art teacher used to get annoyed at me about at school. So I've gone down to a smaller thickness, 0.1. Mix it up a little bit with where these are coming from, so where the spiral starts. So yeah, so it gets awkward at the edges. You just need to remember to add in what the doodle would look like if you had the whole square to play with. There we go, excellent. Wonderful. So also what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at one of your doodles that you've been submitting on the grid 5 and add that to here as well. So let me just get my phone. So this is Helen's, I believe. I don't know if Helen, if you're still watching, but is this one I was intrigued by, because I really like the black and white circle in the middle and the alternating. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, so this is Helen's grid that she's already sent in. So let me just find somewhere to do this doodle. Okay, let's add it in here. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding the grid. Well, I've got 0.1, I think I might do it fine yet. Excellent. Right, so I'm going to rotate this all round, which is great to do because so you get the angles right. I have to say, when you're doing the time-lapse video, when you watch it back and you see ones that I've rotated, it's quite dizzying the effect of keep moving things around. I see a lot of time-lapse videos are actually for painting and things where the canvas is actually held down and still, which it does help because you can it's easy to watch, but I just can't do it with doodling. Ooh, got a bit small. There we go, so that's my grid. Turn this round. And then, okay, so I need to draw circles around in blocks of 4. So I'm going to start going across this way. Start with this one. Excellent. So then the next row is offset for 1, so it'll be there. Oops, apologies for that. That is my dark sky app, telling me it's going to be raining soon. Whoops. Hopefully there's nothing out in the garden. Okay, and then the next row will be in line with that one. Guessing where there. Say guessing. I'll work it out. That one there. So I'm going to go up this way and in line with this one. And the next row would be in line with this one. And that one would be, they're both, so the centres of this one are both off the doodle, but you just get a little curve there. Wonderful. So now what I'm going to do is colour in the, if you can see on there, so it's each other section is coloured in. So this is very fine because I've drawn it so small. So it's just going to be like a dot, but that's fine. I will take a close-up picture of this one and put it in the comments once the video is finished. So I'm guessing you can't see this detail on alive. It does look lovely. Awesome. Excellent. I'm pleased with that, and it is quite different to my other doodles, which is it's nice when it gets to mix up a bit. Oh, look at that one. Ooh. And I also love this. It's very spooky. Spooky mountains. Beautiful. Excellent. Alright then, so I'll leave this set up and I'll add some more doodles to this, and I'll add the video on. But yes, in the meantime, if you want to, I'll add the link to the to download this worksheet if you want to have a go at combining these doodles now that you've had the masterclass of how to doodle them. And then we'll have a grid 6 will be released on Monday morning, and I have committed to Monday morning. I know it's a bank holiday, so if you know me well, you'll probably guess that it'll actually be up on the website on Sunday evening, because I won't be getting up to actually add it onto the website. But yes, yeah, don't tell anyone. it will be launched at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, which is a bank holiday, which gives you a nice relaxing bank holiday Monday to download it and add the doodles. And I'll probably jump on and do a little video on Monday just to show you a quick guide of how to do the doodles, because they are getting a little bit more complex now. So some of them on site you don't necessarily know how to create them. So yes, I'll be doing that. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday. Bye bye.